Welcome to the session. Topic of this session is estimating economic values. For economic evaluation of a agriculture project, we need to estimate the cost of benefit in terms of economic values, and for that purpose, we need to convert the market prices in the economic value. We need to convert the financial prices in the economic values, and if the market is the perfect, if you are operating in the perfect market, the market price basically give an estimate of the economic values. In that condition, the market price and economic value are same. If the market is not a perfect, actually we have the most of the market are imperfect. It is very rare to get the perfect market. So in that condition, we need to convert the financial prices in the economic values, and the willingness to pay is one of the criteria to judge the economic value of a cost and benefits or a project output. And actually we need to see that the willingness to pay and the market prices are same. If they are not the same, then we have to determine the willingness to pay, and we need to compare the market prices and the willingness to pay, and we need to have some shadow prices if they are not the same. And for that purpose, actually the willingness to pay is one of the important concept. And some of the the project outcome, there is no market available in such, some of the effects are there. For that purpose, there is no market available, there is no market prices available. In that case, we have to use the judgment, and we need to calculate the output and input of the project in the economic value by using some certain manner. So basically in this session we will be discussing about the how to determine the economic value using the concept of the willingness to pay. And basically we will focus on the estimating the economic value of the land and other natural resources and the labor. So basically we have understood the price basically reflect the values or economic value, or if they are not reflecting the economic values, we can adjust them to reflect the economic value. And basically the market price is the first approximation of the true value of the goods and services. If the market is perfect, they are the true value. But the market are generally imperfect. In that case, basically we need to have the approximation of the economic value. So actually we need to find a market prices in that case, which is normally best prices to use as a economic valuation. And for that purpose, we use the criteria, or we determine the consumer's willingness to pay. If both are same, we can say the market prices and willingness to pay both are same, or the willingness to pay is almost equal to the market prices. We can say the prices are basically based on the economic valuation. And so the first measure of the WTO or the WTP, willingness to pay, is the market prices itself. When a consumer pay a given prices for a good, and in that case, if the satisfaction from that good must be greater or equal to the sacrifice he makes in terms of the case, both are same, then the willingness to pay is the best judge, or that is basically the economic value. And the willingness to pay, but the rule is that the willingness to pay must be at least as great as the market price of the good, and otherwise consumer would not engage in the transaction. So if if the willingness to pay is the greater than the market price, and then he will easily do the business. Or if the willingness to pay is less than the market prices and he is not able to offer that much money, so he will not go for the transaction. So that's why the for the transaction willingness to prices must be equal to the market prices, and there are certain conditions which guarantee that the consumer willingness to pay is not greater than the market prices in order to have the transaction. So there are three important conditions which guarantee that the consumers WTP for goods and services does not exceed their market prices, and the first condition is that the goods and services are freely available to any potential consumer willing to pay the market prices. So basically there should be no rationing in the market, there should be no restriction. If consumer want any quantity of the goods and services, it will be available to him if he is ready to pay the market prices. So, and the another condition is that the no consumer is big enough to exercise monopoly power. It means that there is no monopoly buying powers is there that influence the market prices level. So he basically he is a small buyer, we can say. He cannot affect or she cannot affect the whole market pricing system. So and then third condition is that the addition to the supply of goods and services brought about by the project is not large enough to sell the market price. So the condition, basically these are the three conditions which generally prevail in the perfect market. So actually there is no restriction on the quantity of the trade or the sale or purchase. So whatever quantity a consumer want to purchase can purchase, or whatever quantity a sellers want to sell they can sell, and there is no monopoly power in case of the consumer, in case of the seller also. So actually they individually cannot affect the total marketing system, they cannot affect the market prices. So these are the three conditions which are very important. If these conditions are there, in that condition the consumer willingness to pay will not exceed the market prices. So we will understand that the condition number 1 and condition number 2 are the condition of competitive buyings. Actually in any number of any quantity the buyers can purchase, or he can affect the market by through his buying. So if the buying is competitive, the price paid by the consumer for the unit of goods reflect precisely expected satisfaction from that unit. So basically it is the satisfaction is greater than or equal to the market prices if this condition number 1 and 2 is satisfied in the market. So if the willingness to pay price is equal to the market prices, then we say it is the economic value. If WTP is exceeds the market prices, if willingness to pay is greater than the market prices, consumer would buy more goods at that prices, and the consumer is free to do so because he are free. This is the perfect market, and in that his her own purchase would not push up the price. If he purchase more, they will be not able to push the market prices. Then condition number 3 is also important, that is required to ensure that the anticipated market price of goods manufactured by project reflect the willingness to pay for all the additional unit of goods and supplied by the project. So whatever the product which is produced by the product and the project, it will be sold at the existing market prices, and the both consumer and seller will not be able to affect the market prices. If the WTP for the extra unit as reflected by the market prices is same both before and after the project, we can be sure that the no consumer of additional output are willing to pay any more than the market prices for it. If one of the three conditions is not satisfied, like the three conditions are the the consumer can purchase any amount of the product, and his purchasing cannot affect the market prices. Even the third condition is that the seller, the producer of project output cannot also affect the market prices. So if all three conditions is and satisfied, then we can say we have the economic value in the market. The prices reflect the economic value. If one of the three conditions is not satisfied, we cannot no longer say that the consumer WTP is limited to the market prices. And if the output of the project really not available to the consumer at a given market prices, or the large enough to bring change in the corresponding prices, and in that case the measurement of consumer W2P will depart from the value of the consumer actual payment, which it will exceed. And an estimation of the W2P will require investigation into the shape of the demand curve of the project. So, for estimation of the willingness to pay, actually we need to see the shape of demand curve, and how the relationship in the quantity demanded and the price is there. So we need to analyze that, and there are fairly well developed techniques available for that purpose to have the estimation of the WTP and the willingness to pay. And in case of the consumer goods like sugar, or producer goods like steel, that are freely traded in the market, and basically we can have the market prices, and financial prices can be adjusted to the economic value by estimating the willingness to pay. And in some cases, the output of the project is not purchased at all, and the market is not there, like in case of the water sometimes, and there is no first approximation in the form of market prices is available. And example are the educational and medical facilities. There is no the market prices available for such facilities, or welfare programs, which often carry no meaningful market prices. There is no much market prices or trading available of this commodity, or water supply in the rural areas. This is another example. In that conditions or that situation, basically economic valuation is based on the estimation of the importance of this free facility to the community. So how much importance we have of such free facilities like educational institution, or medical facility, or welfare program. So based on that importance, we can judge the economic value of these goods or the output, and a judgment is required to estimate economic value in such case. So we need to have proper judgment how much importance we want to give. So here also we can have some perception study. If the the medical facility is made available in the village, how much you will contribute. In that manner, we can have some judgment about the value of that facilities. And now we move to the estimation of the economic value of the labor, and then we'll also see how land is valued in terms of economic value. So first, let us understand the labor estimation, labor value estimation. The wages of the labor market generally would be equal to the amount of the product produced by an extra labor hired. So how much labor will get in the labor wages in the market, in the perfect market. So basically it is equal to the marginal value product. So how much an extra labor is contributing in the production process, in the value of the production and the products. So that is generally in the perfect market, that is the its value, wages we can say. But in the case of under perfect conditions, or basically in case of the perfect competition, the market wage rate is the approximate shadow prices for the labor. So if we have the perfect competition in the market, so wage rate is basically shadow prices for the labor. So it gives the economic valuation of that labor. And as per the new classical theory, there is no in the perfect market there is no involuntary unemployment, the wage is equal to the productivity of the marginal worker, and the market wages are the opportunity cost of the labor and the social value of the good lost by adding another worker. But in case of the informal market, which is quite widespread, and market wages are inappropriate for economic valuation. There are certain reasons, like first is the wage rate does not reflect the opportunity cost of an unemployed person. It is not basically a past approximations. The economy loses nothing apart from the distribution of the work from creation of the new job. And second is the redistribution accompanies new jobs, and the redistribution occur as the immediate gainer, which is basically the formerly unemployed, and that the immediate gainer save less than the immediate loser, like employers and the employed worker. And in other words, basically we can say that though the direct opportunity cost of the employment in terms of aggregate consumption may be zero, there is in general an indirect opportunity cost is there, whose magnitude depend on the propensity to save of the newly employed and others in the economy. Only the direct opportunity cost can generally be assumed to be smaller than the market wage. And where we have the surplus labor economy, the availability of labor varies during the years. Like in India, in agriculture sectors, it is employed gainfully for some days, but for the rest of the period it is surplus. And then there is the marginal value productivity is zero, and in that condition what we have to do, how to value this surplus labor, in terms of economic value. So first option is to consider its value as zero for economic valuation, because for the certain period of time there is a productivity is zero, so their value is zero, so we can consider it zero in economic valuation. And then second option is to value the price of the labor on annual basis, not on per day basis. We can calculate on annual basis. So annual value will be equal to the wage received for the period when they are fully employed. If they are employed for 145 days in a year at the rate of 60 rupees per day, for example, their wages is 8,700 rupees. So we can calculate the annual wage rate in case of the surplus labor is there. And the third option is to value the labor as the wage rate. It commands whatever per day they are getting. We can take as a their wage rate. It is based on the assumption that the laborer produce output worth something near their wages, like in the perfect market. And although labor is in the project area may be unemployed or underemployed, and this may not be case after the development take place, and when cases after the development that will be full employment we can assume. And actually we may use all three options to value labor if project duration is more than 10 years. Now we'll move to the land and natural resources, and here basically the appropriate measure of the value of land is basically the ultimate consumer's willingness to pay for the aggregate consumption benefit from the use of land. So actually how much they will earn from the land, actually that we can say that is the willingness to pay from the land. So that is the basic thing. But land has alternative usage, and economy of the land can be estimated by the using the principle of the net value of the production foregone or its opportunity cost. So here actually for valuing of the land, actually we can calculate, we can see the how much the net value loss or net value of the production foregone in the alternative use. So that is the basically opportunity cost. So here we can value the land as a opportunity cost on the next best alternative use. And there are three alternatives for the valuation of the land. We can value the land at its purchase prices, as a one-time capital cost. So here basically this is the simplest approach with the inherent assumption that the price of the land is a fairly good reflection of the present worth of the contribution that land would make to its future use. So here basically the total cost of the land we can use as a cost of that land, purchase prices, one time purchase prices we can include. So basically that reflect the total the production from that land. And land market is relatively competitive and open. That is almost a perfect market we can say, because lot of competition is there in the land market. The lot of buyers are there, so that's why we can say there is a competitive market. And there are this is one of the good alternative methods to have the economic value of the land. If the land is actually purchased instead of only land use change. So if we are purchasing the land, this is the good option to value the land of economic value. Then second option is to have the value of the land at its rental value on annual basis, and this is also suitable alternative method in land market, where the sales are thought to be strongly influenced by non-economic factors. There are some non-economic factors which are there in the sale of the land. In that condition we can use the in the annual rental value. And but because the criteria here is should be that rental markets for land should be a competitive, then we get the good value of the the proper economic value of the land. Rental value become basically a convenient and rather easily determined proxy for the net value of the production foregone or can be easily used. And then third option is to value the land and at the estimates of the net value of the production foregone or opportunity cost as a value on annual basis. And basically this reduce the incremental benefit that is realized from the land, because here we are treating the cost of the land, economic cost of land based on the value or net value foregone on the alternative uses. So cost is quite high here, and this method of using NPTEL cost of land is usually the approximate one for various scenarios of existing land use for economic valuation. And this sometimes this is the only means to provide the value of the land. All the analysis which we have discussed in case of land can be used to all natural resources, like the water flowing down a river, and the building of a dam at one place and its use in the neighboring areas may affect water supply further down the stream, and the valuation of this impact in principle similar to that land. Basically the opportunity cost principle we can use here for in the natural resource valuation. And while in the private market exists for land, there may be that private market may be absent for river water, and the users WTP users willingness to pay for water may have to be guessed rather than observed in the market, because the market prices is not available for the market. In that case willingness to pay we have to guess, we have to use some judgment here. And in this case, as in the case of land, there is no prospectus of increasing the total flow of water. Hence, the relevant alternative is demand reduction, for which cost need to be examined. And now we can sum up this session that the consumer's willingness to pay is the criteria used for the economic valuation. And first measure for willingness to pay is the market price itself. And there are three conditions which guarantee, and these three conditions are related to the perfect market conditions, which guarantee that the consumer's willingness to pay for goods and services does not exceed their market price. And under perfect competition, the market wage rate is approximate shadow price for the labor. Under imperfect labor market, market wages are inappropriate for economic valuation. And in case of labor surplus market, we have seen, we have discussed how to value. There are three methods. If there is a labor surplus market is there, so in that case there are different methods. So we have discussed different methods of valuation of labor in this session. Then the ultimate consumer's willingness to pay is the measure to value the land and natural resources for their economic valuation. With this, I thank you all.